The evening air hummed with a soft rhythm, a delicate mix of distant laughter, the whisper of the wind, and the deep, thumping bass that pulsed from the fairground. Lights from the towering roller coaster painted fleeting, dreamlike patterns across the faces of Loft, Pure, and Air, three souls, three hearts, woven together by a connection that went far beyond simple words. Loft leaned against the railing, her gaze lost in the hypnotic, swirling motion of the rides. On the surface, she was a picture of calm, but inside, a quiet tremor shook her. Her eyes were fixed on Pure, who stood near the carousel, bathed in its vibrant, shifting neon glow. And then there was Air, always so playful, effortlessly spinning Pure around, teasing her, her hand lingering on Pure's just a moment too long. The sight was a beautiful, painful masterpiece that pulled at the very strings of Loft's heart. Pure's laughter, soft and melodic, drifted through the air, but her eyes kept darting back to Loft, a silent, repeated question in her gaze. Between the two of them lay a history, a story written in whispered touches, late-night conversations, and the kind of comfortable silence that only true lovers can ever really understand. But something had shifted recently. Air had swept into their world like a sudden, brilliant gust of wind, bright, charming, and utterly unstoppable. Now, the three of them found themselves sitting together on a worn wooden bench, fluffy clouds of cotton candy in their hands. The sweet taste felt out of place with the complex emotions swirling between them. "You're being too quiet again," Air said, playfully bumping Loft's shoulder. "What's going on inside that beautiful mind of yours?" Loft managed a faint smile, her eyes soft. "Just watching you two. You seem happy." Her words were simple, but they carried the weight of her unspoken feelings. Pure looked from Loft to Air, then back again, her own heart twisting in a knot of confusion and affection. She desperately wanted to speak, to unravel the tangled web they had woven. But love, especially this kind, so delicate and unconventional, was never simple. It was messy, it was beautiful, and it was theirs. Reaching out, Pure gently rested her hand on Loft's. "We all are," she whispered, but the slight tremble in her voice betrayed the truth. They were happy, yes, but it was a happiness tinged with uncertainty, a beautiful, fragile thing. Just then, the music shifted, and the deep, emotional beats of "Hold Me" began to fill the night air. The song seemed to capture the very essence of their moment, the rising emotion, the longing, the unspoken desire. Air stood up, a spark in her eyes, and stretched her hand toward Pure. "Dance with me." Pure hesitated for a heartbeat, her gaze flickering to Loft, a silent plea for understanding. Then, she nodded. Under the soft, colorful glow of the fairground lights, they began to move together. It wasn't a perfect dance, not choreographed or precise, but it was full of joy, of genuine feeling. They swayed to the rhythm, lost in the music and each other. Loft watched them, her heart aching with a bittersweet mix of love and a sense of loss. It was like watching a memory unfold before it had even ended. As the song began to slow, its tempo softening, Pure stepped away from Air and moved toward Loft, her expression tender. "Come here," she said gently, pulling Loft to her feet. The three of them now stood close, the music wrapping around them like an invisible embrace. The world outside faded into a blur. Pure reached out, her hand softly brushing Loft's cheek, while her other hand found Air's, their fingers intertwining. No words were spoken. There was only the sound of their shared breaths, the thrumming of their heartbeats, and the stories their eyes told in the dim light. And then, it happened. A moment that felt as though it existed outside of time itself, suspended and perfect. Pure leaned in first, her lips meeting Loft's in a kiss that was both tender and hesitant, a question and an answer all at once. Loft melted into it, every unspoken feeling she had bottled up inside finally spilling out. When they slowly parted, their eyes still locked, Air stepped closer, her fingers gently tracing the line of Pure's jaw. Their lips met next, a kiss that was soft, curious, and full of wonder. The night seemed to hold its breath. The fairground continued to spin and hum around them, a world in motion, but right here, in this small space beneath the glowing lights, everything felt infinite and still. When the last note of the song faded away, the three of them remained together, their foreheads touching, their breaths mingling in the cool night air. The silence that followed was profound, filled with everything that had just passed between them. "What are we?" Loft asked, her voice barely a whisper, afraid to break the spell. Pure smiled, a sad, beautiful smile. "Something beautiful," she replied, her voice soft but certain. Even if it doesn't last forever. Air took both their hands, her grip firm and reassuring. Then let's make tonight count, together. They walked toward the roller coaster, the very ride that had, in a way, brought them to this point. As their car clicked steadily upward, climbing higher and higher into the night sky, Loft looked at Pure and Air beside her. Their faces were a stunning blend of laughter, tears, and a love so profound it was dizzying. When they reached the peak, the city spread out below them like a carpet of 1,000 shimmering lights, each one a tiny promise twinkling in the darkness. Pure reached over, squeezing both their hands tightly. "Hold me," she whispered, her voice carried away by the wind. And as the coaster plunged downward, their screams of exhilarating fear quickly turned into wild, free laughter, a sound full of life, of passion, of a moment seized. Love, Loft realized, wasn't always about forever. Sometimes it was about moments just like this one, raw, fearless, and absolutely unforgettable. When the ride finally shuddered to a stop, the three of them stayed close, reluctant to let the moment go. Loft's heart was still racing, but it wasn't from fear anymore. It was the pure, unadulterated thrill of knowing that, at least for tonight, they belonged. They belonged to each other, to the rhythm of the music, and to a love that gloriously refused to be confined to a single shape or definition. Under the vast star-dusted night sky, they shared one last kiss, three souls, beautifully tangled in one fleeting, perfect, and unforgettable heartbeat. Thank you so much for watching our story unfold. If it moved you, please give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that explore the many beautiful forms of love. We'll see you next time.